Word. Andrea, do you want to kick us off and just start with any shout outs the team has?
Yes. Sorry, I'm very distracted. Okay, I'm focused. Yeah, let's start with some shout outs for sure. Um, does anybody have any off the bat that they are just dying to get off their chest? Anything amazing happening? I know some amazing things happening, but I want to see if they call themselves out first.
Yeah, I love shout outs for yourself. I think that's a really cool shout out. So I think it's something we don't do enough is pat ourselves on our own backs. So it'd be
So
really
who's had a good conversation this week? Who did something out of their comfort zone? What oh, there's Kelly. Um who's got something to celebrate? It can be anything.
it can be I planned my
Kim,
first
Kim
event.
has one. Kim has her hand
Oh
raised.
good, yay. Let me find you, Kim. Hold on. Oh, okay. I think you're unmuted. Are you? Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. So
Hi.
Melissa and I are doing not a Super Saturday, but similar on a Thursday in Bend, and it's my first time speaking at one of these things. It's super exciting, and I'm so like I keep getting excited to do it with her. So that's like our big report for the week.
Okay,
So
that's
awesome.
amazing. And I would love to hear like how did you guys just arrive on this? What is it going to look like? Because I want people that are listening to know that anyone can do that. Can you give us details about it?
Yeah, so I guess Cal, who is in charge of Peace from Corporate on the West Coast, contacted Melissa and asked her if she would like to put on an event in Bend for Isogenic. And she asked how he got her name because she's not living in Bend. She hasn't lived in Bend in a long time in Oregon. And he said that her name was on a roster for that area. And so she said, sure, let's do it. And so we're doing it, which is exciting. And she asked if I want to speak. And I said yes, even though I'm super nervous, but it's good to push ourselves, to do things that we're not comfortable with. So yeah,
What are you speaking about, Kim?
I am going to share my my product story with everyone. So
Okay.
yeah.
Really
Cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
And how many does the venue hold where you're having it?
It's about 60. So we are going to pack it out. I shared on Isogenix Business, Start Group, like everywhere. So I'm cooking dinner, so I'm going to be flipping things as I'm
Oh,
talking.
you're fine.
But yeah, so I shared it everywhere, hoping to get a really big attendance. And then I have, I think like 6 or 7 people coming, which is really exciting. But yeah, so I'm driving down from Seattle to Oregon to do this. And yeah.
I'll be right back, Amanda.
Yeah, that's fine. I am so proud of you, and I'm so proud of you, Melissa, and I cannot wait to hear about it. And more importantly, I can't wait to see the live video. I know someone's going to put on Residual Rockstar page. Hint, hint.
Yeah.
You're going to do so awesome, you guys. And Kim, I know it's going to be your first time of many speaking in front of people and sharing your story. So I hope you get used to it, because I have a feeling that's going to be on repeat. So I'm so glad that you just shared that. Does anybody else have any shout outs, something you've noticed teammates are doing? You want to pat yourself on the back about something? You had a conversation with someone who you've been too chicken to reach out to and you finally did it. No matter what the outcome was, that's a win in my book. So anybody, feel free to wave your hand and I will unmute you. Oh, good. Yay. Kelly, hang on. Let me unmute you. All right. Hi.
Hi, everybody. So I started to reach out for the, I guess, top-bottom approach, which I never really did before. It was always reaching out for product use. And so I was using, just reaching out to see if anybody was open. A few people said yes. And I did schedule my first 3-way with Amanda, and we got stood up. But I stayed with it. I used that hour to reach out to people, reach out more, and it was very nerve-wracking because I really never did a 3-way like that. So yeah, so I'm proud that I just keep on reaching out, and I'm going with that approach, looking for those avatars and people that I feel like I would align with. So it's a whole new ball game for me, and it's definitely nerve-wracking and it's messy, and I'm cool with that.
Yes.
And this is nerve-wracking because I'm brand new to you all, so I'm sweating and nervous, but so yeah,
Awesome.
but I'm here.
You're
I'm
awesome,
here.
Kelly. So Kelly was under the leadership on Delilah's team, and she's very engaged. Isogenics has been one of my favorites from a long, Andrea and I feel the same way. Like, we just adore Kelly. And she came to us and just is like, I'd love to grow. Can you help me? I'm like, yes, jump in our team page. We're so one team. So we consider you one of us, Kelly, and you're on Residual Rockstars, baby. So we're glad to have you and your energy. And it is a massive win getting uncomfortable and doing a top-down approach and talking business. And, you know, finding the accidental entrepreneur is hard. And it's like trying to dig a hole to China. It's just slow, and you never know what's going to come. So I'm so proud of you for just going for it. And, you know, you did all the right things with your three-way. You came to me, you gave me background information on him. You're like, how do we do this? I told you how we do it. You were like, this makes so much sense. You even confirmed the call with him. You treated it like a business. He no-showed. It happens. You know, that doesn't mean we'll give him another chance. If they no-show to me the second time, it's just, I'm done. Personally, that's how I typically operate. So massive kudos to you, and we're just glad to have you a part of our team. So I love that you spoke up.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have anything that they want to share? Anybody?
I'll shout out.
Oh, wait. Abby has her hand raised, but do you want
just quickly, Morgan and Kelsey and Amy for, you know, taking initiative and having your events consistently. And you know what, speaking to the people who show up. We can sometimes focus on the people who don't show up, and there's so much power in speaking to the people who do show up. So keep doing your events, keep offering it to people. So proud of you girls. You are just taking the lead and going, and you're just going to grow the most amazing team in your area. I know it. So shout out to you guys.
Totally.
Let's hear
The consistency is refreshing. The energy is refreshing, and it's contagious. So you guys are crushing it, and I love to see it. Yes, let's hear from Abby. I've got you unmuted, Abby. You just have to unmute you on your, oh wait, there you go.
Hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So long story short, I had been going back and forth with someone who I know he's interested in the product. I know he's interested in the business, and I know him well enough to know that he's going to be very slow. And I was getting to the point where the back and forth was like, I'm just going to leave it and move on. I need to just let him go. But I feel like I've got this pool of people where I don't want to let any of them go, but it's like time to let them go and just see what happens. But I took a totally different approach with him, which was very like outside my comfort zone. But I just like thought, well, either I'm going to totally turn him off, which is fine, it could happen, or I'm going to light a fire under his ass and he is going to be like, wait, what? And I wasn't being untruthful, but I was like kind of creating this sense of urgency about like, you know, how there's a lot going on right now and momentum, and just using like a lot of buzzwords to kind of help boost his level of interest. And now he's like, oh, wait, what? And a lot of what I said, it kind of pieced all of this conversation together from some calls that have been going on through the past week, where I was like, it's not even anything that I wrote down, because usually when I listen to the calls in the morning, it's listening over the screaming toddler. So, but it's just like things that have stuck with me, and either they've been said enough times or just stuck in my mind for whatever reason. Like, anyway, just creating the sense of urgency for him just felt like the right approach, even though it's not what I would normally say to anybody. and, you know, we'll see what happens. But just, I guess, moral of my story is don't be afraid to try something new and get outside your comfort zone and do something that seems like kind of counterintuitive to what is authentically you. And everybody that knows me will know that I'm all about just be authentic. But this was like not inauthentic, unauthentic, but, you know,
It was a new approach.
it was a new
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that. And, you know, it's just kind of like the whole get messy thing, you know, and it's all, what we're doing is trial by error. And, you know, I love creating that urgency too, Abby, and I didn't always do it. And it always feels weird the first time you're doing something. You're like, oh God, I just said that. It's like you have an out of body experience almost. But I love that. And I always love the line of, which is true, is listen, I want to let you know, I right now am so focused on big builders that want to grow. And so the sooner that you can get in, the better, because you'll benefit from their volume. And that's the beauty of our compensation plan. So I just want to let you know, I've got some great people joining me really soon. It would be in your best interest to join me ASAP so you can benefit from their performance, you know? And maybe that doesn't feel authentic, like if you're not like really enrolling, but like we're all focused on finding those big builders, right? You know, so anyway, that's a great share, Abby. I'm proud of you. I love that. It's all about tweaking. And if we're not willing to tweak and we're not willing to grow and learn new styles, then we're not going to grow, period. So great job. Does anybody else have any shares before we get into it? Oh yeah, I see Morgan. Let me unmute you. Okay, you're unmuted.
Hey, can we hear me tonight? I didn't have to dial on my phone too. That's always fun. Good. Yeah, I have a few shares. First one, going out to this week, the people that are sharing on the start call. We have Carrie, who is doing the opening and her story. Kim's brand new sharing on the call. Kelsey shared on it last week or the week before. But really just a lot of people stepping up. Claire's on the schedule to be sharing her call. So just stepping up and sharing their story, even on that platform. It can be very nerve-wracking. You don't know who's on the other end, but you just do it, right? Allie, who has been instrumental in being able to implement that, being able to be there to jump on whenever anybody's having any technical glitches, sitting with people and making sure they know how to go through it. Angela and Melissa and everybody who's been doing it, right? That's just a shout out for overall to make that call work, to also a place for everybody to grow when they do it, right? It is scary the first few times. I have another shout out too for Angela. This is kind of a different shout out, but I really want to shout her out for reaching out to me when she was feeling like she was alone, right? Like when we go through things in this business and it's like, I'm feeling this, or this person hasn't done what I said. Does this happen? Do your builders lose momentum? Do people say something and not do the other? And she reaches out and says, is this normal? And you can have that conversation, because yes, it is, but sometimes you need to have that conversation. So I really want to shout her out for taking the time to have that conversation, because I think that that's crucial to your business too, acknowledging what's going on and then speaking it with somebody else. We do have the tools inside all of us, but sometimes you just have to say it. And then I actually do want to shout myself out because I'm scared and nervous, because I was asked to speak on the start panel at our Boston Super Saturday on November 2nd. And then, as a lot of people on the team know, I'll be flying down to Atlanta to be speaking at the Atlanta Super Saturday. So come November, these are a lot of big things. I guess first time you can say really like on the stage, my Super Saturday, I shared my story. But really being asked to share at these events, I think adds a whole nother level and whole nother realm of butterflies and stuff. And then shout out too for like Kel and the events that we've been doing up here and the consistency. And then another thing too is that I want to shout out for a lot of people's posts I've been seeing that have been awesome about the new energy drink too. I just think people are really being authentic in things that they're sharing and looking at this for whoever it can help, because I mean, let's be honest, like helping people who buy a Red Bull or a Monster and switching it here is pretty awesome.
Yes, I love it. All of the yeses right there. And, you know, it's a testament to your consistency and you're not being afraid to use your voice, which is why you're being asked to speak, you know, because you're speaking up. and people recognize it. So really good job. And yeah, I love that. That's what I love about doing these calls is you don't need to be financially linked to go to your go to a teammate and just kind of say, here's what I'm feeling. Is this normal? Like that's what we're all here for. And I just love that. That's why I just love our team and our community. It feels like a family. And Angela and I had talked, and we all experience all of that stuff. And Andrea will talk about this, but it is such a part of this industry. Is you're going to hear a lot of no's, and a lot of people tell you they're ready and they are not, and they don't end up building, and then they go radio silent. There's a lot of people that just get a little weird, and it just happens. So I have it happen all the time.
All the time.
To the point where I'm numb. I don't know. I'm numb in a good way. I can still feel, but you'll get to a place where you really will let it roll off your chest. And that's a powerful place to be. And you'll stop taking it personally. But you're human, and it's still okay to have that feeling, and it can still sting, right? So anyway, I love that. Angela, Andrea, do you want, or does anybody else, Dyer, have anything they want to share? These are all really great. And yes, you guys, the start call on Thursday, I'm so proud of you guys. Carrie, Kim, Kelsey, Morgan, Allie, all of you guys, Melissa McDonald for doing these. It's incredible. So remember to invite people to this call Thursday. What time is it again, guys? I always forget. Is it at 8:30 or what time is it at?
8:30, yeah, Eastern Standard Time. See, Allie's so speedy. It's already in the chat. She's a rock star. Look at her.
Rock star.
On it.
Love it.
She is on it. Okay, cool.
ESP, yeah. Go for it.
Awesome. Well, I think then we will move forward. I think we really just wanted to start with talking about events. I'm going to reference this event that I went to this last week. This conference that I went to last week for a couple of days had nothing to do with Isagenix. It was a small business owner conference, and with a coach who I've been working with, totally outside of Isagenix. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And I'm going to reference the conference quite a bit. But I want to start with talking about the events within Isagenix and how imperative they are. And guys, I know it sounds like we are like a broken record when we talk about events, but we have to be a broken record when we talk about events because they are the staple. They are the glue that holds us together. There's only so much we can do virtually. And I mean, I have so much gratitude for what we have right here and to be able to communicate with you guys virtually, but there is nothing better than being able to get together in person and grow together and experience these emotional times together. I mean, even here in Atlanta today, us getting together for lunch was just like so refreshing to just be in each other's presence. And listen, even to this day, I understand the financial burden that an event can be. I get it. I relate. I understand. I still make it a non-negotiable. Okay. I heard this guy this past week when I was at the conference, and they were on a panel, and there was several business owners, and most of them are fairly new business owners. Like they aren't making crazy money. They're doing okay. Their business has gotten off the ground, and they were talking about investing. And a lot of these people have invested quite a bit of money in training and coaching, right? Hiring people to help them with their mindset, to help them with the how-tos of how to run an online business. There are so many things. And when you're a solo entrepreneur and you're trying to get your business off the ground, you're going to hire somebody who's gone before you and who has had success. So that's what this coach did, the one who was putting on the event. Well, she had a bunch of people in the room who have hired her and paid great money for her expertise, and she helps them get their online businesses off the ground. And we had this panel, and one of the men who was on the panel said, I look at any money that I put into a mastermind or a coach or even an event like this, he says it's a pre-investment into my business. He said so many times people have the mindset that they have to wait until they make the money to then go do the thing. And he says that's not how it works. It's a pre-investment. You have to pre-invest in your business with the certainty that it will pay you back. Does that make sense? Like when he said that, I was like, yes. Now, you guys, let me give you a little perspective, okay? Our events cost what? $200 a ticket to go to an event. And then we have a plane flight and a hotel. So we're talking maybe $1,000, give or take, for us to go to an event, to be together, to learn from the best, to inspire us, to recalibrate us. These business owners who I was meeting, they were paying like $25,000 to hire a coach and be in a mastermind. And they were doing it without batting an eye. And that was before they'd even had success in their business. They're putting it on credit cards. They're putting it on against their homes. So let that sink in for a minute, that those people see the value of getting training, of getting coaching, of not trying to figure it out on their own. They're willing to invest. It's almost like buying a franchise, right? Like you're willing to sort of put your money where your mouth is, and then you're going to do the work later and make back. How blessed are we that we eat our overhead of our business, that so to go to an event is $1,000 at the most, and yet some of us aren't willing to do that. And I'm giving you a little tough love right now, but sometimes that's what it takes, right? So just try to have some perspective. If you have decided, and a little bit of what I wanted to talk about is, and again, this goes back to the conference that I was at, but it was a very faith-based conference. So I'm not gonna take this call that way, but it makes a lot of sense. The way that she used, scripture in the Bible about why we were put on this earth and why we have this calling on our heart. So that's how she opened. She talked about, if you're here, you have a calling. God has placed a calling in your heart. If you're on this call, I imagine that you have had the calling. There is something drawing you to Isagenix. There is something drawing you to this team. There is something drawing you to the idea of creating a life of abundance for you and your family. There's something drawing you to the potential of helping other families do the same thing. If you didn't have that calling on your heart, you wouldn't be on this call. So my challenge to you is to lean into that calling. And you are, so many of us, and I'm guilty of this too. I'm not, I'm everything I preach, I speak to myself, right? I'm right there with you. I'm in the thick of it with you. But we get so caught up in the belly of the whale. You guys know, like Joseph Campbell's heroic journey. Like when we're in the belly of the whale, we can't see anything. It's messy. We're battling our demons. We've got all this shit in our heads, and we can't see the big picture. We can't see and feel the growth that we are having, or we lose sight of where we are going, who we're supposed to be helping. We forget that we are the hero. All right. So always ask yourself, do I have that calling? Is it really there? And most likely, because you guys keep showing up, the answer is yes. Okay, so lean into that and then ask yourself, what do I need to do to be able to make sure that I don't quit on myself? I stood up at the event last week, and why I was there is a really long, sordid story of things that I've been working through for several years now. Some of my teammates know this, where I have this calling to coach people, to use my teaching skills to coach people outside of what I do for you guys. And that's how I got into this realm, this world with these people. But I've grappled with who I want to coach. And I sort of had this epiphany over the event. And I stood up and I said, I did my little elevator speech. I think I have it in here somewhere, but I said something like, I help struggling network marketers to trust their instincts and their inner strengths so that they can, I can't read my own handwriting, something with confidence on their path and have, I don't know, it's messy, but it occurred to me, like, I want to help struggling network marketers who don't have what we have, right? It's why Amanda and I started the podcast. We're like, we believe that if more and more network marketers out there are trained the way that we are trained, the stronger this industry is, the more people are going to be attracted to it, the more people are going to buy from us and from them, and then we have abundance and abundance and abundance. That's what I believe. And when they were critiquing me and giving me feedback, they said, well, why do you say struggling network marketers? And I said, well, because I work in the industry of professional quitters. Raise your hand if you've ever worked with somebody who's quit on you. Every single one of you should be raising your hands. Okay? So we have to understand that. We work in the industry of professional quitters. I just wait. I expect that most people who I'm helping are going to quit. And it's discouraging, it's sad, it's frustrating, but it also gives me a really specific niche. And it's where Amanda and I have really, oh my gosh, you guys, Amanda and I talk like an hour on the phone every day because our minds are bursting with things that we want to do for you guys. And we're so excited about it. And what we have really landed on is we know, and we're pretty sure you guys know, that you have all the tools you need. I hear a child walking in the hallway outside my door. It's been a day, y'all.
We'll let you know if the door opens.
It's been a day. That you have every tool you need. Every Isagenix tool you need. Do you guys really need another website? Do you need another video? Like, we don't need it. Do you guys believe that we have the best products in the world? We have the best compensation plan? Like, I know you're all there. You're all a 10. I know it because I've asked you and I've watched you. The missing link, what we believe, is your dedication to personal development. And Amanda and I have really taken that on as something that we have not been demonstrating enough for you. We started to reflect back on our beginning and the things that were provided to us that we paid for, that we committed to. And it really changed us in the very beginning, like on every level, not just Isagenix level. Like, I'm talking in our relationships with our children, like every single level of life. And so that is something that we have decided we're really, really going to focus on. And we've got some really exciting ideas up our sleeves, and we're not going to tell you about that tonight because it's very up in the air right now. But just know that if you guys raise your hand, those of you I can see your faces, if you listened to our podcast yesterday with Courtney. Okay. Not enough hands. So we need you guys to go listen to that podcast. That needs to be like step number one. But the thing with personal development, and we believe that it probably needs to be somebody outside of Isagenix. And it can look like a variety of things, and I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but we really, after reflecting and talking and just going through things, we just really landed on this is the missing link. Because what's happening and what we're feeling now, guys, businesses, companies are always like this, right? That you don't ever look at a business that's always like this. So if you have experience in a more traditional business, you would know if you were to look at every graph of their growth and their income, it's going to always look like this. It's going to have peaks and valleys. And that might be spread over 50 years, that might be spread over 5 years, but regardless, if you were to put it down on a spreadsheet, that's what it's going to look like. So go ahead and be okay with the fact that your Isagenix business is going to be the exact same. Your Isagenix income is going to go like this, okay? It's up and down. Even Laura Stevens, who made $5 million in 5 years, her income has also done this, okay? So be okay with that, but and accept it, like, done, accepted, okay? But here's where we really want you to have the tools and the strength to not only accept the fact that we know that our business is going to go up and down, but when we are in those valleys, and Danielle talked about this on the call on Monday, and I thought she was so eloquent, and it really struck me. When we are in those valleys, and I believe this too, this is God's timing of saying, are you prepared for what is next? Are you doing the work in the valley so that when you climb that mountain again, you're ready for what's coming your way? And if you're in the valley and you're complaining about being in the valley and you're not doing the everyday things and you're not talking to people and you're not reaching out to people and you're not going out and meeting people and you're not following up with people and you're not checking on your customers because things are slow right now, you're not showing God or your universe that you're prepared for what's next when you climb that mountain. So it's going to be a lot harder to climb out of that valley if you haven't done the work. I mean, there's so many parallels. It's just like going to the gym. It's like when you go to the gym for a month and you don't see any change, but you keep going and you keep going. And eventually you start to see the change and you start to feel the change. So you have to keep doing the work. A lot of this also goes back to money mindset. And you have to ask yourself. So I kind of did this like voice memo to myself today. And it was like, if you've decided that putting up a Facebook post is too difficult, or you don't know what to say, or you just overthink it, if that's the story you've told yourself, then you've told yourself that you're not worthy of having the success that Isagenix can bring you. Because can you build a business without without Facebook? Of course. Thousands of people have done it. But ask yourself, are you building a business outside of Facebook? Probably not. Because if you're too in your head about putting a post on Facebook, then you're probably too in your head about talking to somebody outside of Facebook. To me, posting on social media builds up my tolerance. It builds up my endurance. Because I can always go back and delete it if I need to, right? It's like practice. It's my business card. I'm not posting and praying. I go out and I meet people in person. I make connections, and then they go look at my Facebook page and they know what the hell I'm doing. All right. The other thing is if you're struggling financially, you have decided that you are not allowing money to flow to you abundantly. Guys, God wants you to be rich, right? Money is not evil. The more wealth that this team has, these faces that I'm seeing right now, the more wealth that we have, think about the incredible impact we can make on our communities. The trickle effect would be incredible, because we would take care of ourselves first, and that's okay. And we would get ourselves out of stress and out of angst around our financial situations. And then all of a sudden we can look outward and we can give and give and give. That just doesn't magically happen. We have to work on our money mindset, and we all have different money paths. We all have different stories. And some of our stories are messy. My story is so messy. It's still messy. It's still a hot mess, but I'm committed to working on it. I'm so committed. because I've seen glimpses of the other side, and it's so worth it. So this is where I truly believe, excuse me, and I'm going to wrap up, that personal development, when I started this 5 years ago, got me going. And it helped me to learn that growth is happening to us all the time. And that I said this to Morgan the other day, we have to be really, really careful of measuring our growth based on our cycles, because that's not fair. How does a cycle represent your personal growth? If you're listening to podcasts and you're reading and you're plugging in and you're stretching yourself and you're having those awkward, uncomfortable conversations, you are growing. That's incredible. So recognizing that stretching and growing yourself, or stretching yourself and pushing yourself, is growth. That will eventually turn into cycles. But if you try to say that your growth is only, indicated through your cycles, well, that's just not very nice to say to yourself. Okay? So give yourself that peace and know, as long as you're staying in the game, you're doing the right thing. I had this story. I was going to actually go Facebook Live on our page, and then I didn't, probably because one of my children was crazy. But it has to kind of do with personal development and perspective, and why I really wanted you guys to listen to the coaching call, because I think there is so much power in hiring a coach. So there's this woman in my life who I've literally known since I was in 7th grade. And she was my PE teacher when I was in 7th grade. And she was a soccer coach. And so I was her favorite, of course, because I was like the only girl who played soccer at my school. And so she and I just loved her. She was like my favorite teacher. She was super young. She was like 22, I think, back when she was my coach in 7th grade. Well, she ended up going to a different school. I ended up, moving. Well, our paths crossed again when I was in high school. She coached at Walton High School, which is eventually where I taught, and I played soccer at Milton High School. So we'd play against each other. So she, of course, we would always hug and, oh, I love you, blah, blah, blah. Our paths crossed again through ODP soccer, and she coached me there. And then I didn't see her for years. Well, when I moved back to Georgia and I got a job at Walton, she was still working there. So then we became coworkers. Long story. Then she ended up retiring. So then she played on my soccer team. We played soccer together. Anyway, now she works with my husband. I can't shake this woman. It's crazy. Anyway, she's one of my most favorite people in the entire world. And she is a Class A soccer coach. There's a point to my story, I promise. Class A is the highest coaching certificate you can get. So she is she could go coach at any college. She's incredible. She chooses not to. But when she was in college, she never played soccer. She was a swimmer. So I asked her one day, because I actually coached under her. I coached JV and she coached varsity. I asked her one day, oh, Camille, you know Sharon Lochran? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. Sharon works with Camille now. Crazy. Okay. So I asked her one day, I was like, why do you coach soccer? She also coaches swimming, but she's a badass soccer coach. Why do you coach soccer when you were a swimmer? How did you get into the soccer? And she goes, well, I just really liked soccer. I thought it was fun to watch. And I thought I could give players a different perspective because I never played the sport. And I was like, because you guys, I sucked as a soccer coach. I was not good. I will own that. I loved my girls. I had fun, but I was not a good coach. Why? Because I'm a player. and I was in the game, and I was like, and I only understood my position, and that was what I wanted to do. And so I didn't know how to coach a full team. I didn't have the perspective of standing on the sideline and watching. She goes, I am more lit. She goes, I coach swimming because people make me coach swimming because they know I'm a swimmer. She goes, I coach soccer because I love it and it fires me up, and I'm good at it because I can see things that the players can't see. And that is what a coach of a business coach, a life coach, a therapist, like it doesn't matter, a psychic, right? Like anybody who can get to know you from a different perspective can be so enlightening and so powerful. And that's why we had Courtney on our podcast. She is unbelievable, but Courtney's not the only option out there. There are so many options, but I challenge you to really let sink in what we are saying to you and know that we've got some exciting things coming. But if you feel so inspired to maybe seek out someone that works for you, then it may be the greatest thing you ever did. On that note, and I'm going to close here. A couple of months ago, you guys remember I posted on Residual Rockstars about the Enneagram. And I asked you guys to take this test. A lot of you did. And it got this great conversation going. Well, I have been geeking out on the Enneagram lately, like majorly.
Hey, Andrea, can you tell people that don't know what Enneagram is? Just
yes.
2 seconds.
Yes. Okay. So the Enneagram is, it's a personality test, but it's different from I always get those letters wrong, the ICBS or whatever it is, the Myers-Briggs. It's different from those in that it doesn't calculate your behaviors. It calculates your motivation. So the best example I've heard of a way to think about this is, thank you, Elisa, for spelling it. So there's 9 numbers, 1 through 9. So everybody falls on a number. Everybody has a number. And the best way that I've heard this explained is, everybody is going to clean their house, right? So if you said 1, go clean your house, 2, go clean your house, 3, go clean your house, everybody goes clean their house. So the outcome is the same, right? A clean house. The outcome's the same. The motivation as to why each one of us cleans our house is going to be different. So as a 1, for example, is going to clean their house because it's the right thing to do. A 3 is going to clean their house because somebody's probably coming over in 5 minutes and they're stuffing shit in the drawers, and they're just worried about what people think about them. That's oh my gosh, they're coming in my house. My outward appearance is so important to me. That's my motivation for cleaning my house. Okay. So anyway, what I have learned since I did that post on Residual Rockstars a couple months ago is that tests are actually very inaccurate. Most of the tests online are very inaccurate, and you could take it 3 different times and get 3 different numbers. Part of that is because the Enneagram is very journey driven, and there's a lot of layers to it. And it's so fascinating. The more you learn, it's just so amazing. But I did last week find out about a test that is approved by the Enneagram board, and it's the best test you can take if you're going to take a test. Does that make sense? And it's $10. So I'm not, of course, requiring that anybody take this test, but I'm going to put the link for it on our page. And if you're curious as to where you fall on your Enneagram spectrum, I recommend taking this test. It's 200 questions. It's $10, and you'll get an immediate report back. The value in knowing your number is massive. Let me just tell you that 1, it changes how you think about yourself. It explains so much. Abby's smiling because Abby's just having Abby and I are in a group together where we're learning a ton. We're in a small group that we've been doing for a while now. But you're going to learn your motivations. It's going to start to explain why you have done some of the things you've done in life. And you're going to be like, oh, that makes so much sense. And as you start to learn other people's numbers, it really starts to explain your relationship with them. It's so clarifying. If you and your husband or your spouse can do it, there's so many layers to it, and you're not going to learn everything in one sitting. It's going to be a growth thing. And as I learn more, I will share more with you guys. But as a leader, it is so important because you're all leaders. I mean, here's the truth. If you want success in this company and you want that income, you have to see yourself as a leader. You have to see yourself as growing a team who you get to nurture and take care of. It's such a privilege. But as a leader, understanding your team's Enneagram is a game changer, because knowing what motivates people will help you to communicate with them. And that has been, Lisa, it may or may not crush you. And then you start sending oh my God, it's fun. Poor Elisa. I was like recording all this stuff for her. Elisa's a 2, in case anybody's wondering. Abby's a 1. But I will post that on our page because I think it's super powerful. And, if you feel like spending the $10, I think it's worth it. But I think that was it, Amanda, unless there was anything else that you wanted me to touch on.
No, this has been so good. I love it. I love everything that you shared, and I think we all needed to hear it. I love how you tell stories, and I don't know, everyone was just so focused on what you were saying. So thank you so much. And the one thing that I did want to say, that when you were kind of talking about, I wrote it down. Just personal development and, looking at cycles and just saying, oh, I'm not growing because my cycle's not growing. I totally love that you said that. Because I think it's something that we as humans don't celebrate enough, our wins. We all have big wins in life. And if we're still standing right now, that's a freaking win, And I think we just need to celebrate more of the victories that may feel small, but they're still massive. And I think a lot of us get stuck in the comparison world. And guys, get out of that world. Get out of it. And if you're comparing yourself to someone who's wildly successful in Isagenix, think about the work that has gone into their success. Think about the grit. Think about that they're just relentless. And so you can't compare yourself to someone like that if you also feel like you're matching their efforts with your grit, with you being relentless. And maybe you don't want to work that much. So I want to just to adjust your expectations. It's something I've said before, of if you see someone out there killing it, they're freaking working their asses off. So if you want to be in that situation, then get to that place of working your ass off. And then you can compare a little bit more. You know what I mean? Or don't follow those people. If someone's making you feel bad for some reason, you're just internalizing more, then take a breather. You know what I mean? But I just think celebrating your victories is so huge. And even if it's you posting about what you've done, that you had a meeting with someone, or you finally, reached out to that person you've been thinking about for the past 2 years, whatever it is, just speak up and toot your own damn horn.
Toot toot. Y'all, real quick, check this out. So this was the conference I went to, and she gave us this cute notebook, but check this out. The pen, it's a magnet.
That's cool. That is legit. That is legit.
I know.
Andrea said the thing that we want to do, we're going to do some sort of retreat thing. I could say that. It's going to be something amazing. And we're working on it. It may not be within the next 6 months, but it's coming. Well, there's nothing wrong with saying that, because I want to get people freaking excited.
Okay.
And in the meantime, stop. I want to shake you guys because you're in your own way too much. So in the meantime, I want you guys to grow a little bit of a backbone. Okay? I want you to grow a little bit of a freaking backbone. I'm just going to say it. We got to stop wallowing. Like, suck it up, buttercup. If you want growth, it's got to get fucking hard. Excuse my language. But it's time to put on your big girl freaking pants and stop complaining all the time. I'm literally just saying this to everybody. Like, there's no one at all specific I'm saying this to. Please know that. This is more so like what I'm hearing from other people, actually. But in general, if you want growth, it's going to get hard. So you got to just get messy and celebrate what your wins are. And have fun, because this is not so serious. There's no need to take it so seriously. So I didn't mean to drop the F-bomb. I just got excited for some reason. Andrea, close us out, if you would. What, the Enneagram thing, you're going to post it on our page?
I'm going to post the Enneagram. And I think that's it. I think that's a good call to action is, you know, if you want to follow a cool Enneagram person on Instagram, you can go to Enneagram and Coffee. She's got some great stuff, especially once you know your number. But yeah, I mean, Amanda nailed it. And you guys, we pour into you because we have been poured into. And our dream, and some of you are already doing it, you know, is to pour into other people in massive ways. That is the privilege that we have in this. We are professional network marketers. Therefore, we have the privilege of connecting with people. That's it. Just connect with people, make them have a better day. Detach yourself from the outcome. Detach the Isagenix part will come. Why? Because it's a part of you. It's who you are. So just focus on connecting and building your network and showing up as a positive light for somebody, because they need it. We need it. This world needs it. And that would be my message to you is just go take this and pour it into somebody else, because it's just a trickle effect, and it's beautiful when you get to do that. And so many of you are doing that already. So just keep it up, keep going, keep being that light. And that's it. My husband comes home tomorrow, so I'm so happy because I'm about to go cry.
I forgot he was out of town. Oh my gosh, this was awesome. You guys are the best.
Mean it. I'm gonna post the link right now.
Okay, good. All right. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Yeah.